They say some people are born in the wrong era, and no one proves that more painfully than the man I'm about to tell you about, Nikola Tesla. A man who 100 years ago envisioned things that even today most brilliant minds haven't dared to imagine. The lights in your home, the Wi-Fi on your phone, the wireless technology you can't live without, all of it traces back to one man, one genius, one name that somehow got buried. And here's the part that should haunt you. After changing the world forever, this man died alone, in a hotel room with unpaid bills piling up outside his door. He had lived in that room for 9 years. He couldn't afford to pay for a single meal. But that's not even the most disturbing part. Hours after his body was found, FBI agents stormed his room. They seized documents the US government has kept classified for over 8 decades. Some of those files still haven't been released. So what was in those documents? What did this man actually know? And why did the most powerful systems in the world go out of their way to erase him, not just from history, but from our collective memory? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. And I want you to pay close attention, because what happened to Nikola Tesla wasn't just a tragedy. It was a calculated, systematic operation carried out 3 separate times in a single lifetime. 3 assassinations, 1 man, 1 life. Let's start with assassination number 1. January 7th, 1943, New York City, room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. A housekeeper named Alice Monaghan ignores a Do Not Disturb sign that had been hanging on the door for 48 straight hours. She walks in, and what she finds stops her cold. The body of an 86-year-old man, alone, surrounded by silence. Within hours, not days, hours, FBI agents flood the room. A medical examiner declares time of death as 10:30 p.m. the previous night, and dozens of trunks filled with Tesla's research, patents, notes, and inventions are seized on the spot. That old man was Nikola Tesla, and the story of how he ended up in that room, penniless and forgotten, is one of the greatest crimes in the history of science. Now, most people know the basics. Tesla invented the AC power system that literally runs the modern world. Alternating current, that's what powers your refrigerator, your lights, your entire home. He laid the foundation for wireless communication, radio, X-ray imaging, electric motors, hydropower systems, neon lighting, remote control technology. The man basically blueprinted the 20th century. Think about it this way. Companies like Uber and Swiggy solved small, everyday inconveniences, and they're worth billions. Their founders live like kings. Tesla solved problems that fundamentally transformed how 8 billion people live their lives, and he died without enough money to pay for his dinner. So what happened? To understand that, you have to understand the war of currents. Before the late 1870s, people lit their homes with candles and oil lamps. Then in 1878, Thomas Edison launched the Edison Electric Light Company, and the following year introduced the first commercially viable light bulb. It was revolutionary, but it had a fatal flaw. Edison's system ran on direct current, DC, and DC electricity could only travel 2 to 3 kilometers before losing power. That meant you needed a power station every couple of miles. That meant massive infrastructure costs, and those costs got passed straight to the customer. Expensive electricity everywhere. But because there was no competition, DC became the global standard. Edison had a monopoly, and he was making a fortune. Then came 1887, and Tesla changed everything. Tesla launched his own electric company and within months introduced alternating current, AC, to the world. Where DC could only carry electricity a few kilometers, AC could transmit power hundreds of kilometers with ease. It was cheaper to produce, more efficient to distribute, and it obliterated every advantage Edison's system had. People started switching, and Edison panicked. What followed is one of the most ruthless public relations campaigns in the history of technology. Edison began publicly electrocuting animals, dogs, cats, even an elephant, using AC power, and telling audiences this was proof that Tesla's system was deadly.
He was trying to poison public perception through fear. But Tesla fought back. He literally sat in front of an audience and passed AC electricity through his own body to prove it was safe. The man used himself as a demonstration. For years, these two men went at it, but then two events changed everything permanently. In 1893, the Chicago World's Fair needed a powerful electrical system to light the entire exhibition. They had two bidders, Edison's company and Tesla's. Tesla's team won the contract by offering to do it for half the price. And at that fair, Tesla's AC system lit over 200,000 bulbs simultaneously, in one moment. For the first time in history, the world truly saw what this technology could do. Then came the Niagara Falls Power Project. In 1895, engineers needed to harness the power of Niagara Falls and transmit that electricity all the way to Buffalo, over 30 miles away. DC power couldn't do it. Physically impossible. The contract went to Tesla, and he delivered. The war of currents was over. Tesla had won. AC became the global standard. It still is today. But winning the war cost him everything. Here's the part of the story that never gets told. During the battle against Edison, Tesla's business partner George Westingham was hemorrhaging money. Legal battles, infrastructure costs, loans for the Niagara project, the company was drowning. And meanwhile, Tesla's royalty agreement entitled him to $2.50 for every horsepower of electricity sold through his AC patents. As AC spread across the country, those royalties were exploding. Tesla was already a millionaire by 1990, just 3 years after his invention, and projections showed he was on track to become the world's first billionaire. Then Westingham came to him privately. He explained the financial situation. He told Tesla that if the royalty payments continued at that rate, the company would collapse, and if Westingham collapsed, Edison's DC might come back. Humanity would suffer. Tesla didn't hesitate. He tore up the royalty agreement on the spot. Now, you might think that was noble, and in Tesla's mind it was. He genuinely believed his purpose of life was to serve humanity, not accumulate wealth. He said it himself, "Money has no value to me. I have spent all I had on experiments that will make man's life a little easier." He worked 20-hour days. He never married. He believed relationships would distract him from his mission. He had no business advisors, no legal team, no financial managers. He was a pure scientist, living for the work. But here is the tragic truth. Humanity and corporate profit exist in completely different universes, and the moment Tesla gave up that royalty agreement, the system turned against him, permanently. Because now Tesla needed funding for his next dream, the biggest project of his life, the Wardenclyffe Tower. This structure, sitting on Long Island, was Tesla's magnum opus. His vision was almost incomprehensible for 1900. He wanted to transmit electricity wirelessly, for free, to everyone on Earth. No meters, no monthly bills, just free, unlimited power beamed through the atmosphere to any location on the planet. Alongside that, he wanted to enable wireless communication, sending messages, photographs, even voice through the same system. The tower was nearly complete, and then it was destroyed. To build Wardenclyffe, Tesla needed investors. The most powerful financier of the era was J.P. Morgan. Tesla approached him and convinced him the tower would revolutionize wireless communication. He framed it as a competitor to Marconi's radio work. Morgan invested $150,000. But as the project expanded, Tesla needed more, and this time he revealed the full picture. He told Morgan the tower would also transmit electricity wirelessly to anyone, anywhere for free. Morgan's asked one simple question. If electricity is wireless and free, where exactly do you put the meter? How do we collect payment? Tesla's answer was, there is no meter. The electricity is free. Morgan's face must have gone cold, because J.P. Morgan's entire empire was built on oil, coal, gas, and electricity companies. Tesla wasn't just asking him to fund a project, he was asking him to fund the destruction of everything Morgan had ever built. Morgan pulled his funding immediately, and then he did something far more devastating. He quietly circulated a message to every major investor in America. Do not fund Tesla. Not Wardenclyffe, not anything. Blacklisted. For a scientist, losing access to capital is a death sentence. Without money, there are no experiments. Without experiments, there are no inventions. Tesla was one of the greatest minds in human history, and they starved him out. Think about that. Edison's company became one of the top corporations on Earth. Westinghouse became a millionaire. Marconi, who literally copy-pasted 17 of Tesla's patents to create the first radio transmission, won the Nobel Prize. And Tesla? He spent his final years in a hotel room, unable to pay for food. That was assassination number one, the economic assassination. Now, let's talk about what happened in room 3327 on the night Tesla died. The official story is clean. Natural causes, heart failure. Time of death, 10:30 p.m., January 7th, 1943. But let's look at the actual sequence of events. January 5th, a Do Not Disturb sign goes up on Tesla's door. No hotel staff enters the room for 48 consecutive hours. January 8th morning, housekeeper Alice Monahan ignores the sign and finds Tesla dead. By 10 a.m., a medical examiner has already inspected the body. By noon, FBI agents are inside the room, and within hours, 80 trunks of research material, patents, notebooks, and classified documents have been seized. Now here's what should make your skin crawl. The medical examiner declared Tesla's exact time of death as 10:30 p.m. the previous night, but the body wasn't found until the next morning. No one had been in that room for 2 days. In 1943, with the forensic science available at the time, how could anyone pinpoint the time of death to the exact minute without having been present? And why was the FBI there within hours of a body being found? Why was the seizure operation so organized, so fast, so comprehensive? The agency that seized Tesla's belongings was called the Office of Alien Property Custodian, an agency that legally could only seize property belonging to non-U.S. citizens who posed a national security threat. But Tesla was a U.S. citizen, had been for decades. The justification? His nephew, Sava Kosanovic, was the Yugoslav ambassador to the U.S. and was believed to have communist sympathies and possible ties to the Soviet Union. The U.S. government feared that if Tesla's secret research fell into his nephew's hands, it could reach Soviet intelligence. World War II was raging. They couldn't take that risk. So what exactly were they protecting? In the 1930s, Tesla had been staying at a different New York hotel, the Governor Clinton, and owed somewhere between $400 and $2,000 in unpaid bills. To settle the debt, Tesla handed the hotel owner a mysterious locked box. He told him it contained a weapon called the Death Ray, a directed energy device capable of destroying 10,000 aircraft simultaneously from a distance of 400 kilometers. He warned the owner, never open it and never let it fall into the wrong hands. Years later, when Tesla moved to the New Yorker hotel and never settled that debt, the hotel kept the box. And after Tesla's death, John G. Trump, an MIT physicist and the uncle of Donald Trump, was assigned by the FBI to examine it. When the box was opened, they found a 45-year-old resistance bridge, a basic electrical component, no death ray. The government used this publicly. They declared Tesla's death ray was a conspiracy. The old man had been bluffing. None of his later work was credible. Except, in 1984, the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade found a document among Tesla's papers titled The New Art of Projecting Concentrated Non-Dispersive Energy Through Natural Media. Inside was a detailed technical blueprint for a particle beam weapon. Precise, functional, far ahead of its time. And in 1980, John Trump himself, the same man who publicly dismissed Tesla's death ray, privately acknowledged that Tesla had written letters to both Soviet officials and British royalty describing a secret weapon, and that the technology described was, in his words, well beyond contemporary understanding. In 1983, Ronald Reagan launched the Strategic Defense Initiative, nicknamed Star Wars, which included a directed energy weapon operating on principles strikingly similar to what Tesla had described decades earlier. In 2014, at the Singapore Air Show, Israel defense company Rafael unveiled a weapon called the Iron Beam, a laser defense system that multiple experts compared directly to Tesla's death ray concept. And, perhaps most powerfully, at a grand event at the New Yorker Hotel in 1937, Tesla himself stood up and said these exact words: "It is not an experiment. I have built it, demonstrated it, and used it. Only a little time will pass before I can give it to the world." Not a theory, not a dream, something he said he had already built. So, was the death ray real? The government said no. The evidence says otherwise. Of the 80 trunks seized from Tesla's room, only 7 were ever returned to his family in 1952, nearly a decade after his death. Those 7 trunks are now in the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade. The other 20 were never returned. In 1975, the museum formally requested the remaining documents from the U.S. government. They received no response. In 2016, 73 years after Tesla's death, the FBI declassified some of those files, but not all, not even close to all. And the official reason given: the remaining documents could still pose a threat to national security. Let that sink in for a moment. A man who died in 1943, his documents are still classified in 2025 because they're a threat to national security. What does a dead inventor know that a modern superpower is still afraid of? That was assassination number 2, the physical erasing of his work. And then there's the third assassination, the one that may be the most complete of all. Open any high school science textbook. Count the pages dedicated to Einstein. Count the pages dedicated to Edison. Now count the pages dedicated to Tesla. Einstein gave us relativity. Edison gave us the phonograph and a practical light bulb. Tesla gave us the entire electrical infrastructure of modern civilization. He gave us AC power, radio, wireless communication, electric motors, X-ray technology, remote control, electric hydropower. He literally built the world we live in. And yet, the average student graduates without being able to name a single thing Tesla invented.
That is not an accident. It is a decision. Here's what I believe after deep research into this story. Society celebrates innovation, but only when that innovation plays by the rules of the existing economic order. When a new idea makes the powerful richer, they build statues for the inventor. But when an idea threatens to disrupt the system, when it challenges the profit structures that keep certain people in power, that idea gets buried. And so does the person behind it. Wardenclyffe Tower would have made electricity free. J.P. Morgan destroyed it. Tesla's royalty agreement would have made him the world's first billionaire. Westinghouse manipulated him into surrendering it. His research documents could have changed energy and defense science forever. The FBI locked them away. And in textbooks, they simply gave his credit to others. Marconi got the Nobel Prize for inventing radio using Tesla's own patents. The U.S. Supreme Court didn't acknowledge Tesla as the true inventor of radio until 1943, the same year he died. Too little, too late. We think we live in an era of progress. We celebrate every new iPhone, every fingerprint sensor, every autonomous vehicle. And we call that advancement. But the real innovations, the ones that could have liberated billions of people from energy poverty, from dependence on corporate infrastructure, those sit in classified government vaults gathering dust. Tesla once said, "The present is theirs. The future, for which I really worked, is mine." He was right. Everything we use today is built on his foundation, and yet the man himself was erased, economically, physically, and historically. 3 assassinations, 1 lifetime, 0 justice. The question isn't whether Nikola Tesla was a genius. That debate ended a long time ago. The real question is this: how many other Teslas are out there right now, brilliant minds working on ideas that could transform human civilization, being quietly, systematically shut down by the same forces that destroyed him? Think about that.